Hey y'all, thank you for joining me for the leftovers. I have not done one of these in a while, but when I brought forth the Soul Food Sundays message from the book of Jeremiah, there were some things that I really wanted to look into because I knew there would be deeper meaning when the message is applied metaphysically opposed to just matter of factly. And so we're going to dive into that, break that down a little bit. The message was a clean slate. Wait, I wrote it down. A clean slate. It is God's decree that Babylon will fall. And we were coming from the book of Jeremiah 50 and 51. It wasn't in its entirety, and but it was a portion of it, a nice portion of it. And I was reading from the Message Bible by Eugene Peterson, which is my favorite translation of the Bible. But in that book, written by Jeremiah, who throughout my research I have found was what I consider to be an empath. Jeremiah is known as the weeping prophet because unlike some of the other prophets who were a bit more stoic, Jeremiah was emotional about what was being revealed to him in regards to what was about to happen to the people, what was about to happen across the land. It was like, oh shit, the people finna hurt. The people finna be in pain. The people about to go through it. And so Jeremiah was an empath. He expressed deep grief over the people suffering and still managed to prophesy to them warnings of restoration. And in order for anything to be restored, there's a stripping, there's a purification that has to take place. And that is what I was talking about in that Soul Food Sundays. That is the message that's coming forward in this particular scripture, and that is what's going on right now. So I brought forth that message a month ago, and just a week ago, maybe, not even sure if it's been a whole week, America has gone to war with the Middle East again. It's nothing new, but again. And so it was definitely that message that I brought forth in Soul Food Sundays was a warning of restoration, but it's not just for the collective. It is describing what is going on with us individually and spiritually. Let me cut this heat off because, my God, today I am burning up all of a sudden. Do talking make you hot? Because I'm hot. But yeah, Jeremiah was a truth teller during national collapse who questioned God, his calling, and expressed loneliness. He felt betrayed, and he expressed rejection. People see light workers, prophets, people who prophesy the future or prophesy messages, bring forth messages that they've received by way of divine guidance. People tend to glorify that experience. And I love how in my research of Jeremiah, he definitely was a spiritual being having a human experience. He felt all of the things. He felt the loneliness of people not being able to connect with him. He felt the loneliness of having to protect his energy. He felt the loneliness that comes with the type of calling that he had. He also felt the rejection. It's a real thing. Everybody ain't ready for the type of light you bring when you are a light worker. Some people get blinded and intimidated by the light. Not everybody's welcoming, and a lot of people like to try to use the light that you bring for their own selfish agenda. Your light will trigger people, and they will take offense to your light. And if they ain't offended, they jealous. So that's not the case with everybody, but more often than not, that is the experience that sets you apart from others when you are a light worker, as Jeremiah is. So Jeremiah had that calling to speak the truth about what was to come, and his truth was that systems would collapse, as we are seeing systems collapse in this very moment. So many systems that have been put into place that have kept us bound are now collapsing, and they are unstable. So we're seeing this prophecy come to fruition right before our eyes as systems are physically collapsing. You got geopolitical security systems collapsing right before our eyes, and there's an escalation in instability economically, globally. Everybody at war, everybody picking sides. The economies are in a flux and at risk of we're at risk of greater risk of a recession. When I first found out about the bombing, a friend of mine was telling me how it would affect gas prices, and so many people rely on transportation as their source of income. DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, all of these places, all of these corporations and entities are popular because people don't want to work in the workforce where they're being micromanaged, their time, their energy, they're being stood over and stressed out, and they want more freedom. But in order to do those jobs, they need gas, and they need affordable gas. And so all of those industries and then some will be affected on a physical level. But how are we being affected metaphysically? How are we being affected spiritually as those systems are physically collapsing, and systems of patriarchy and toxic masculinity are collapsing in our lives, within us spiritually? It brings up conflict within ourselves about how we've been existing in this world and how we're being called to exist, how the changing times and circumstances are requiring that we exist in this world. There's a clash there, and it behooves us to get in alignment with it opposed to resisting it and being at war with ourselves, and surrendering whatever it is that the divine is leading you to do, whatever direction it is that the divine is leading you to go in, to mature, to grow, to expand. It would be in your best interest to do so, because Babylon is falling. And speaking of which, Babylon is an ancient place on the map in modern day Iraq. But if you were to go there now, it said that there's just a bunch of ruins and remnants of what it once was. But within us, Babylon is a mindset. Babylon is the system of our ego, and that is what is collapsing within us. So we're seeing this externally, but we're also seeing it occur internally, as a lot of people are going through ego deaths. And a lot of people who are going through ego deaths are at different stages of being in an ego death. But it serves us as a collective, because what has brought us to the point of collapse, what has brought us to the point of instability and furthest from our God body, our God nature, reflecting that we are God's creation, created in God's image. It's pride, it's ego, it's excess, it's domination and obsession with power, the misuse and abuse of power. it's exploitation, it's spiritual freedom. Not spiritual freedom, but the desire for spiritual freedom, but being rebellious, spiritually rebellious, and not necessarily in a good way. Because for many of us, what this is saying with spiritual rebellion is, many of us are clear that there's a calling on our lives. We're clear that there's some purpose that we have for our existence, for this incarnation. We're clear that whatever we've been doing and been feeding into and giving our time, attention, and investing in, it's not, clearly not what God, in alignment with God's divine will, and that it's the product of us using our free will. But we're rebelling against what we know to be the divine path. You know, whether it's because we people pleasing, or we're trying to impress others, or we're afraid of getting out of our comfort zones, we don't want to mature and grow, whatever the case, it's us playing small in some way, and ultimately spiritually rebelling against our calling. But Babylon falling is all of that collapsing. Every excuse you could have ever made for why you are not embodying the divine, you're not answering your divine calling, is collapsing. Babylon is falling. When I think about Babylon, it makes me think about the song by Outkast, B.O.B., Bombs Over Baghdad. Like, every time I hear the word, I think of that song, Bombs Over Baghdad. Don't pull your thing out unless you're ready to bang. Bombs over Baghdad. So I was doing some research, and I saw where the origin of that song is. I think it was Andre 3000 who was watching a news report, and it made him think about how you're gonna do something, you need to go all the way with it, it's saying. And so in this instance, that is definitely the advice. We need to make sure that whatever we do, we're not doing it half-heartedly. And if you're doing it half-heartedly, then it's probably misaligned. It's probably not in alignment with where the divine is leading you for your highest good. Because where your whole heart is the direction you want to go in. So like Andre 3000 said, don't pull that thing out unless you're ready to bang. Go hard or go home. Balls to the wall. You can't go to war with half an arsenal, half ammunition, half a battalion. Like, you need all of your resources, like the magician in the tarot. So as the world and we as individuals are going through a tower moment, like the tower card in the tarot, where these unstable foundations, where we've built monuments of untruth on top of our falling, so that we can rebuild on a more stable foundation based on truth. In order to do that rebuilding, we having to tap into our magician energy, and we are in the year of the magician, as this is a universal year one. So you need to tap into all of the elements: your air, your fire, your pentacles, your cups, your emotion, your groundedness, that root chakra, your heart chakra. You need to make sure all those chakras are aligned, and that you're using all of your resources, your thoughts, your communication, your truth is a resource. And so as Babylon is falling, we want to make sure we're using our fire, that wand energy, your sexuality, your creativity, to create your heaven on earth, to recreate a stronger foundation based on what's true for you. So Babylon, we got that understood. The ego system, or a system built on ego. And it's the system or part of us and society that believes that it's self-made, self-sustaining, and above divine law. That part of us that think we out here doing it all by ourselves. God is about to blow our minds. You talking about God guiding God is saying, y'all gonna learn today. Stop playing with me. All this stuff been going on under y'all nose because you were fascinated by these trappings of this world. And so we're having to master being in this world, but not of this world. Every system, excuse me, every system built on ego must collapse internally and externally. Again, Babylon is a mindset. So those of you who work as therapists, healers in some kind of a way, those who reconstruct minds, who are thought leaders, who help people shift their consciousness. As Babylon is falling, there's going to be an increased demand for what it is that you have to bring to the table. Whatever your healing modality is, whatever you bring to the collective table of building new earth, is going to be very much needed at this time. Israel in that passage of Jeremiah 50 and 51 is mentioned. Let's see. Where does it start talking about Israel? Israel is a scattered flock, hunted down by lions. The king of Assyria started the carnage. The king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, has completed the job, gnawing the bones clean. And now this is what God of the angel armies, the God of Israel, has to say. Just watch, I'm bringing doom on the king of Babylon and his land. The same doom I brought to the king of Assyria, but Israel I bring home to good pastures. He'll graze on the hills of Carmel and Bashan, on the slopes of Ephraim and Gilead. He will eat to his heart's content, and in those days at that time, God's decree, they'll look high and low for a sign of Israel's guilt. Nothing. Israel literally means one who struggles with God. It's the opposite of complacency. It's questioning things. It's questioning God. God, what is going on? Why is this way? Why am I this way? What should I do? One of the downfalls of religion, and that I discovered early in my awakening from religious doctrine and dogma, is this whole notion of don't question God. In church, you were not supposed to ask. You weren't supposed to question what you were reading unless it was so that you can better understand and align with what was being taught to you based on that particular agenda. But to question it in terms of like go against it or say this don't make no sense, you weren't supposed to do that. You definitely didn't question God, whether it was in front of people or in private. It was an abomination to question God. If Israel means those who struggle with God and question God and aren't complacent and don't just settle for whatever is handed to them, then you get closer to God by questioning God. You get the answers that you need by questioning God. It's just like slavery, where knowledge and education is the very thing that kept us enslaved, that kept us in a particular position to be oppressed. And so it's just another form of oppression being taught not to question. But Israel is favored. Those who embody this Israel energy are favored. These are people who are seeking alignment, who are engaging with God in dialogue with God, got questions and waiting on answers, and looking attentive and aware and present enough to see the myriad of ways that answers could come to them by signs and synchronicities and dreams and through prophets and readers and healers and light workers. So we want to be mindful of that energy of Israel and what the Bible is saying about how Israel is protected. I'm an Israelite, that being the case. Maybe not by the world standards of what it is to be a Israelite, but from what I'm learning, I fit that bill because I got questions and I don't mind asking them. Protection for Israel is the clean slate that I was talking about in that Soul Food Sundays reading. Because when the pride falls, they say pride comes before the fall. But when that pride falls, true identity remains. It's a rebirth. It's that once you have that ego death, Israel is the rebirth. It's you being in a better position to be open to surrender to learning and being in relationship with God instead of wearing your Christianity or your religion like a badge of honor, because Christianity ain't the only religion. But having that intimate relationship with God where there's a back and forth. And then you got Judea. I mentioned Judea in the scripture in that Soul Food Sundays reading as well. And Judea is praise and devotion, the inner sanctuary when not seeking external validation and direction, being heart-led and restored. That is the goal. That is the posture we want to remain in. Let me see where we're talking about Judea in this scripture. It's somewhere. It's so much of it. It's like 16 pages that I printed out so that I would have a reference since I left the book at home. Nope. I don't even see it. I know it's in here. Anyway, go back and watch this Soul Food Sundays and you'll see where I mentioned it. I am sharing this with y'all so that you can do your own self-study. Don't just go off of my word, even though I ain't lying. But do your own self-study and how these things apply to you. But you want to remain in prayer and devotion and praise and devotion. And that does remind me of just this week I started a daily devotion where I have some short videos that you can use to help kind of lead and guide you or be a prompt for daily devotion. I'm using Iyanla Van Zant's Until Today, which is a daily devotional book that I love. In the month of March, the theme is awareness. So everything we're talking about kind of ties back to the concept of awareness. But as we are moving through the fall of Babylon, being in devotion is going to be important. What you devote your time, energy, and resources to on a daily basis is going to be very important. Persia is the unexpected instrument of change, the catalyst that dismantles pride. Historically, Persia overthrew Babylon. Metaphysically, it's divine intervention, because metaphysically it is Persia, that unexpected instrument of change, that storm that comes through, that catalyst, that divine intervention that makes Babylon fall. For many of you, you are walking, talking Persians. You are Persia. You are the storm. You are that person who, when you step into a room, the temperature changes, the climate changes. You are change agents. You affect people in ways that sometimes they don't even speak on. Just your existence stirs up something in them. You make people think about how they show up in this world. You trigger people into shadow work. Or you help people to see just how dope they are, how divine they are. But whatever the case, Persia is that unexpected instrument of change that comes through, like the Orisha Oya. And sometimes Persia shows up as loss, exposure, systems collapsing as we're experiencing, exposure we're experiencing. But it also comes through as a new leader, a new opportunity, a new idea, or some experience that humbles you, an ego death, that helps you step into a deepening of humility in your life, to help you to see where your ego may have been leading you astray, but humility is leading you on the temple path. Persia brings clarity to the illusion of Babylon. Babylon creates so much smoke and mirrors for us, presents things one way while behind the scenes there's a whole nother agenda. And to be honest, y'all, they really don't even do a good job of creating these lies and the smoke screens for us. They just reinforce the weak attempts with propaganda, putting it in your face every 2.5 minutes on every TV show and every commercial, every social media site and every newspaper and every magazine, to the point where you can't help but to try to sometimes lean in that direction. But you can't help it. It's just a matter of leveling up your consciousness, staying in devotion, being open to new knowledge and wisdom, and not eating everything that they serve you, everything that they put on your plate. They being the powers that think they are, or people in your life who have a different opinion, who live their life a different way than from what you internally don't feel is aligned with you. So that's Persia. I also wanted to point out the significance of what a decree is, because in this particular passage of scripture, it says God's decree a lot. Decree being a declaration. A decree is divine law unfolding. It's I said what I said. Standing on business is what a decree is. A decree is a formal declaration that something will happen. It's gonna happen. Just wait and see is what a decree is. So we can make decrees in our lives. We can stand on business about what it is we're about and what we're not about. We can speak into existence what is going to occur in our lives and govern ourselves according to that. Because one thing for certain and two things for sure, you're going to have to commit to something. You're going to have to commit to some path. We can no longer allow the winds to blow us in whatever direction that feeds our ego. The things that are going on in this world at this time, we are called to go where our heart is leading us and where we are being divinely led. We're being led to go where our spirit is fed, where our soul is fed, where we feel loved and supported and safe. Because there are things that are going on around us and outside of us that may be contrary to that. We're going to need to be very anchored in what is a safe place for us, where belonging is for us, and where we are investing our time, energy, and resources. Again, that magician archetype, very important in this universal 1 year. But a decree, it's about to go down. Shit about to pop off. It's mark my words. It's all of that. Or as the kids say, on God. I can't stand when they say that, because they just say it with like no regard. But they always say on God. They say on God about everything. But a decree is that guarantee that it is what it is. And so I hope this message found y'all well. If it did not find you well, I hope that it leaves you well. I hope that it prompts some further study of Jeremiah 50 and 51 and how that applies to your journey, as well as what you're seeing unfold collectively. But until next time, y'all, peace.